They have a lot of stories to tell. Former politicians Lisa MacLeod and Susan Troupé are encouraging women 50 and over to explore Canadian destinations.
We spend $1.3 trillion every year as Canadian women over the age of 50 in our economy. We spend 80% of the travel dollars in our country, and we spend $20 billion a year in the United States. Take $3 billion of that back, 40,000 jobs were created as Canadian women. And so we decided to go where we do the best, and that was across Ontario, and we got some contracts out of a couple different places. Heritage sport, tourism, and culture in Canada is worth $205 billion. So it's big business, and people don't realize. We started showing people we could do anything. We could mountain bike, we could go on a helicopter, we could go to the Arctic, which is at the tip of James Bay in northern Ontario. This really wasn't meant to be a partisan or a political statement in the government sense. It's a political statement in the sense that we are a movement, and we're asking women to rise up and do what we do best as Canadians, and that is to invest in our own communities. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here today. This is the first time I think I've seen many of you, and it's, of course, I guess, reminiscent of the time that we spent together during the pandemic when I was the Minister of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture Industries. Before I introduce Susan, I just want to say that the message that I'm going to deliver today is no different than when I became Minister of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture, which is you are a collision of culture and commerce, a spectacular double bottom line that builds communities and creates jobs. And right now, during a trade war, we have to lead with what we have an advantage over. And that is the fact that women over the age of 50 in Canada are contributing to $1.3 trillion in economic activity. We make 80% of household decisions, and we spend about $20 billion a year in the United States. I maintain if we repatriate even $3 billion, that we will create 40,000 jobs. Across all of Canada, the HSTCI sectors are worth $205 billion. That's big business. And women over the age of 50 are the queen bees. We choose our ballots, we protect our bodies, we are in charge of our budgets, and we make the bookings. And as a result of that, I think it's important that we understand we're not just a niche in the economy, but we are a powerhouse. So today, Susan and I are going to talk a little bit about our experience, some of the programs that we're offering, and how you can be part of a movement that can help repatriate Canadian dollars, but at the same time be part of a great Canadian identity movement that values women over the age of 50 who have contributed to this country, but who have built legacies in their community. And just like we did during the pandemic, we're going to do things that are counterintuitive. And we're going to understand that when we need to change things, we have to pivot responsibly and with intention. And that's what we hope to do. And we believe through our experience and the trust that we have built up through our networks that we're able to deliver that now. So with that, I'll hand it over to Susan, and she'll talk a little bit about why now, why women north of 50, and some of the challenges that are out there for women who travel, and how your business and how your association might be able to harness that. So I'll hand it over to Susan now, and then I'll be back in a little bit. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. It just seems like it was a long time ago, and it really hasn't been that we embarked on this journey. And one of the things, when Lisa and I were talking about what we wanted to do next, is that we realized that women age 50 and over, which is the most powerful demographic that we have, are not being catered to. They're not even being thought of. So we wanted to make sure that change, because you're missing out on revenue and you're missing out on this niche market. So a couple of things I just want to give you some stats on, because I think you'll find them interesting. And I do want to say, it's great to see everybody on here, and thanks for joining us, number one. Number two, there's a lot of people on here that I don't know. So I just want to let you know sort of my background on this is I have 16 years in the hospitality industry, working for a hotel as director of sales and marketing and assistant general manager. So I understand tourism. I understand what it's like to bring it to your city and what it's like to bring it to your region and how important it is. Following that, I was also a member of Parliament for 5 years in London, as well as appointed parliamentary secretary twice by Prime Minister Stephen Harper. So women have always been important to me, and finding better ways that they can have better lives. And there's no one better to team up with than Lisa MacLeod, which is one of the reasons we co-founded SECORD Strategies, and Wandering Women evolved from that, which we hadn't even planned on at that particular moment. It just really took off. And so some of you know that we were on tour in the spring of 2025. Altogether, like, we've also been on tour to the Maritimes. So we visited 5 provinces. So Ontario, obviously, Manitoba, PEI, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. But the breakdown I'm going to give you is for the spring tour, which included Niagara Falls at the beginning and the end of the tour, central counties, and the north. The north was the longest. It was about 12 days. 12 to 13 days. I mean, when you're including travel, but these stats you might find either amusing or interesting. So our tour was 23 days, and what we hadn't calculated, Lisa and I, was like to take a break in between. So it was back to back, and it was great that the time went so quickly. It was so interesting for me because I was new to a lot of these areas. So I went in with fresh eyes. Lisa, as minister, previously, had been to a lot of these places, but there was still a lot of new things, for Lisa as well. So we were on the road for 23 days. It was 8,000 kilometers. By the time we add in the Maritimes, it'll probably be 12. We hit 49 destinations, 17 hotels, 3 galleries, 16 museums, 6 agritourism experiences, 4 animal sanctuaries, 18 nature experiences, and 28 what we call other experiences. So if it didn't fall on any of those, it fell in there. So it was really, they were great tours. I can't even think of how we could improve upon it. We did a lot of videos, we did a lot of photographs, and we really wanted to bring it to the forefront that if we can do it, you can too. Whether you do it by yourself, they're safe, or whether you do it with a family member, a buddy, or however you want to do it. What we did notice while we were on the road are sort of some do's and don'ts we came up with. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but it'll give you an idea. And these weren't, this is not things like Lisa and I just sort of dreamed up. These were things that we observed while we were actually on the road. And you may not think of them, because you can't be everywhere at once. Being from the hotel industry, I know that. I think I would start with accessibility. Ensure the entrances are barrier free or visibly assisted. One of the things we found, sometimes it was tough to get a baggage cart, or people are assuming we can lift our bags up stairs. So there, an Airbnb as well as a hotel. Like, I had a great big suitcase because we were gone for so long, so it was pretty heavy. But I had to lug it up, those 7-8 stairs each time, and it's a good thing I was able to do that. Otherwise, we wouldn't. It wouldn't have worked out very well. Hydration, and hygiene. I know it's expensive. It doesn't seem expensive, a bottle of water, but, offering water at check-in, for people that are coming in or having to lug their luggage up there, would be helpful. Not maybe charging $5 for a bottle in the room, build it into the cost. Again, I know doesn't seem like it would be that difficult. And I understand every dollar counts there. For the hoteliers, but something where you know, it's not nickel and diming everyone, I think is what we found. Lighting and security, that's important. We were at a very well-known resort, and Lisa was in one cabin, I was in another. And you know, after I left her cabin, I had to go back to mine. And then my light bulb was out and over my door, and there was hardly any lighting in, you know, throughout the grass area. So I didn't necessarily feel super safe. But again, just thinking of things like that, check the light bulbs. When I worked in London, like I had a really good manager, and he was always checking light bulbs and always checking to make sure everything was, you know, clean and safe. And I think sometimes we get so busy, you know, we may forget that. So, you know, that's one. Stocking the essentials in the rooms like shampoo, conditioner, hair dryer for sure. You know, and don't assume that women pack everything because, you know, we're trying to pack light, even though I didn't. And train your staff to be flexible. So, for example, we called this the Sangria Challenge. Is simply because I like sangrias, I prefer them over the wine sometimes. So I would ask if there was a sangria. Sometimes they could make a sangria, other times they said, let me check. And then the ones that couldn't, though, like there was no flexibility. It's like, no, we don't make them. And even if we did, I wouldn't know what to charge you. You know, like a simple, let me check with the bartender, come back and tell me you can't, you know, would have been helpful, as opposed to looking right off the bat like there's no, you know, no customer service there, and it doesn't take a lot to make a sangria. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. You can't do everything. You know, so I that would be one thing I think that was important. You know, and train for respect so you don't have excuses. Empower your staff. We did that. We empowered our staff. We said you won't get in trouble, you know, with whatever your outcome in. Like, we're empowering you to make those decisions right then and there for the customer. So, you know, think of the customer service on that, and teach them empathy so that they even if they don't, like, they understand with the customer, they're connecting with the customer, and the customer feels like, you know, that there was something in that room that shouldn't have been in there, for example, instead of saying, oh yeah, that always happens. It doesn't make the customer feel real good. You know, and again, these are things that we experienced, you know, and making sure that, you know, the bathroom areas were spotless. And even like when you're in a cabin, just because it's a fishing lodge or a fishing cabin doesn't mean that, you know, it gets a pass. Like it should be following, they should be following the same rules as all of the hotels. And I think, you know, last is making it memorable. We were in a great hotel. It was a branded hotel, and they had local artisans, indigenous crafts, and Canadian made products, not necessarily in a gift shop, but just sort of set off to the left side of the front desk so you could purchase some of them, you know, jewelry and things like cheap, you know, cheap and expensive jewelry. But, you know, it was a nice sort of you know, a wow. It was like a wow moment. Oh, wow, look at that. There's bracelets over there. And Lisa and I were always trying to spend our well-earned money in, you know, in places we went, because like there was just so many great stuff, and people had taken such pride in their products. And don't be a cookie cutter if you are a chain. Like, don't be a cookie cutter chain hotel, like with no sense of place. You know, and those are just, you know, a few that we noticed. I mean, there was many more, but and there was a lot of great hotels and a lot of great restaurants and a lot of great attractions. Like we you know, we weren't actually looking for things. I would say, Lisa, and you can agree, but we weren't looking for things, you know, that we wanted to put in a list later. They just sort of came up. You know, we just thought, how could they make it better? You know, because you don't always experience that, and people didn't know that not everybody knew that we were on tour. So like there was no, it was almost like a secret Santa or a secret shopper, you know. So you know, I thought it was really helpful, and we'll probably provide feedback to some of those to some of the places that we visited, but it was a phenomenal experience. And I really want to thank our partners in Niagara Falls and the North, David, you know, for that long excursion, and Central County's Chuck and Sue. And just in case anyone's wondering, once we flew out of Toronto to Winnipeg, then we had an RV waiting for us the next morning, and then and a driver, because Lisa and I would probably have gotten lost. And it's hard to do work on the road, also if you're looking out the window. So it was a great experience, and we got to see what other people are missing in the North. And would highly recommend any of those places that you'll see on our website too, and in the reels to visit them and give them your business and keep that money in Canada and specifically Ontario. Not go to the US and repatriate those dollars here. Lisa, do you have anything you wanted to add about the trip?
Yeah, and I think it's a great segue into sort of the other programs that we offer. And I think what I would emphasize with what Susan said, if you're a petting zoo and you do not think that women our age are going to go through the petting zoo, you know what, still have some hydration stations, have some accessible seating, because I can tell you something, grandmothers are going to take their kids to the petting zoo. And guess what? Sometimes we just may want to be near the animals. I think too, when you're staying at a hotel, don't assume just because we're able-bodied that we have the capacity to navigate all those stairs or unlit areas. Sometimes some of us from urban areas bring our safety and security issues with us. And we know that maybe a place like New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, where I'm from, where you can leave your doors open at night, that when people visit there, they may not feel that level of safety. I think the other issue I would say is do not be penny wise to be pound foolish. I was with Susan. We went to a spa, and the spa was nice. She went to pay for the extra sandals, and this burns me up right now because she had to pay $10 or $5 or something for the sandals. They were the same sandals you could get for $4.25 at Dollarama, and then they asked for them back. And I thought, you know, that level, like, we do not equate value with cheap. Value is an elevated experience, and everybody can learn a little bit about that. So I think that the entire experience that she and I had has elevated our ability to provide more feedback to everyone. And again, sometimes be counterintuitive. Don't make the assumption because Santa's Village goes to look after children or Storybook Village looks after children that there is not intergenerational travel happening, because it is. And our demographic has raised our children. We now have a little bit more disposable income, and we want intentional spaces to go to. Now, what has that allowed us to do? Well, we're going to be creating courses. One is in development right now. And although I'm doing some teaching at McGill, I have dedicated my time and resources to SECORD strategies in order to build up this demographic and teach people how to do deep dives in public policy and statistics, and then what to do with that. And based on our experience as parliamentarians, we're going to be bringing that skill. So we look forward to unveiling that very, very shortly. We will be doing other backgrounders where you can download them at our website, wanderingwomencanada.ca. We're working with a Niagara winery on a wine club, and we're going to continue to do our activations. But today we wanted to tell you about three things we're prepared to unveil right now. The first is the Ambassador Program. The second is Wandering Women Approved. And the third is a retreat that we're doing in Nova Scotia. So the first off, and I'm happy to share, we are inviting women across Canada who are in the tourism industry, hospitality, sport, or culture, and invite them to become an ambassador. And this is a free download that you can get off of our website. We'll be sending it to you as well. And we will be celebrating women across the country in these areas, connect them through a shared mission to empower women and revive local economies. Because as you know, from me, I've always believed that our local communities, when we invest in them, is when we get the greatest level of return in job creation as well. What we would be asking for those who would want to be part of the Ambassador Program is to show up at one way, shape, or form, small or big, but provide a contribution through a local meetup, retreat, or regional tour. Nominate destinations for our Wandering Women Approved certification, which we'll talk about soon, and represent the brand at conferences, panels, or in the media, and lead engagement in your regional community as well as on our Facebook. But always a big thing with Susan and I is continue to mentor. So we're looking for people to be ambassadors, but also mentors to support women in these sectors and see them succeed. Now, the eligibility is you're actively engaged in these sectors and that you have a common commitment to Canadian identity, safe and accessible travel, and economic empowerment through domestic tourism. And I can say the reason to choose Canada now more than ever is we are a safe and secure environment. We are we have a diverse and skilled workforce. And finally, we don't have to deal with any exchange rates. And for anybody wanting the North American experience outside of North America, we are the choice too for women of our age, because we do not have to deal with the high dollar of the United States or the issues with safety and security. So I think that is a takeaway for today, is to understand what our unique selling points are internationally as well. The benefits and the recognition you get with the Ambassador Program is access to our Wandering Women retreats at a lower price. We have national platforms. We would like to feature you. We would like to provide you with a pin and a certificate and a seat at the table when we have our conferences. This is obviously a national program. You can go online or when we send you the download, complete your onboarding form. You can receive your toolkit, which are digital assets to promote Wandering Women, but also yourself, and then obviously to join the movement. And you can help us grow the movement in many ways. And as I mentioned before, there's an opportunity there through some of our local events, as well as our online community, even inviting us and helping us assess the Wandering Women certification. So let's now move to the certification. This is also a free download that you're going to get after this, this webinar, or you can download it now on wanderingwomen.ca. This is for any tourism, hospitality, culture, or travel industry. We're talking to accommodations, hotels, inns, etc., culinary and beverage, so restaurants, distilleries, wineries, bakeries, culture and heritage like museums, art galleries, performance venues and heritage sites, wellness and experiences. So is it a spa, a salon, a retreat center, transportation, if you're a rail line, a shuttle service, ride share, rental cars, local tours, and retail and attractions. So specialty shops, markets, artisans, storefronts, and boat tours. Now, we recognize that there are very different types of budget conscious folks. And so we are going to be working with every price point, not just luxury. And in fact, some of the best places we stayed weren't the most expensive with the most 5 stars. They actually elevated service. And I have always believed that being in these sectors is an art form. And so I would love to see that come back. So all operators are going to be audited across 3 tiers, which is the welcoming, and they must meet these to be part of it. So welcoming is considered for certification. Friendly is strongly encouraged, shows commitment to excellence, and approved exceeds expectations and enhances the experience. And so we want to make sure that when we have a list of people and we make recommendations to our groups that you're elevated and you're providing this information. We'll provide you as well with a fact sheet of what she wants and expects. And Susan touched on these. It's accessibility. Are you AODA compliant, if possible, or do you have workarounds? Safety is lighting, clear signage, secure rooms, and walkable spaces available. And then this is the big one. This is the Sangria test, hospitality. We want the yes, we can mentality and not the no, ma'am, we can't. Comfort, that just says it all. It just makes sure that you're in a clean environment. We don't need the best thread count as sheets. We don't need to have the best paper or the best cloth napkins at the restaurant. But what we do expect is good service and clean service that makes us feel safe. Wellness, Susan touched on this, the water. Is it really worth charging somebody $5 for water when you can have a hydration station? And I would give a shout out to, I think it was in Sault Ste. Marie, where they had water filter stations everywhere. And it's really important for us to have that. Susan also mentioned connection. We are at an age now where we want to purchase things that are meaningful. And I would rather buy a $25 ring that was made in a Northern Ontario community than purchase something, at a jewelry store or at Winners in Ottawa. And I think that's really important. And finally, I would say, respect us. Don't patronize, personalize. And it's some of the greatest places we stayed. Well, I want to talk about lodges, Lori Branch's lodge up north. We got in late. It was really cold, and I wanted a cup of coffee. And she dropped off a cup of coffee with a shot of Bailey's, and Susan just had her own Bailey's because Susan doesn't drink coffee. And I thought, wow, I just felt like I came home. And that's the whole point of hospitality. And it doesn't matter which part of the sectors you're in. People should feel welcome. They should feel like they're home. And so that's what we want to provide. So what's in the toolkit? You'll be audited by Susan, myself, and hopefully the ambassadors. And you'll be designated or assigned, or we will provide you with help in order to get there for wandering women, welcoming, friendly, and approved. And you'll have digital assets for your website, for your social media, for your front door, and brochures and signage if you so choose. You'll get the certification letter. We will provide you with a fact sheet on how to wow. And this talks about a little bit of what we're talking about and some promotional perks that we are developing right now with some of our other initiatives. So it will also include in there pro tips on how to go from good to gold. And these are simple things. And a lot of you are doing these things. If you're in a hotel, leave a handwritten welcome note with a wandering women mention. Offer a small surprise, whether that's a sachet of tea, a local artisan bracelet, or a mini map with a curated suggestion. Train your staff to proactively assist solo travelers with directions or luggage. Include I'm spitting my words out, Susan. Include a guest feedback card with a wandering women survey, or you can do your own survey, and then partner with others. So a great example is in the central counties. And, we had such a wonderful rural tour with Rural Tour Co. And it was fantastic. We went to a lot of agritourism when we were there. And to me, I think that speaks to the connectivity that you can get in a region and supporting these different companies in order for them to thrive. And they're all doing different things, but they are all connected. And don't ever take for granted the local connections that you have and how important they are to the traveler, especially a woman that is, in her 50s or above. And I just think of it in your own life. When you are in your own community and you know who to refer people to, take that as an offer that you can create in your own business. And I think of my friend Leslie Harper, and she does a lot of great tourism work in Niagara, and her tour company talks about the Black experience and tour in that region. And so I think it would be like a natural thing to work with her if you're with the SECORD Homestead, for example. And you can start to tell the history not only of that region, but of the country. And we were able to do that when we were in Annapolis Royal. We actually started off in Port Royal, where the first settlements in North America were, and we worked our way to Pictou, Nova Scotia, which was the first place where the Scottish settlers arrived, and that was an amazing part of history. But we mostly knew what to do because I'm from there, and so there needs to be that connectivity, and that's what we would ask. So the certification process, you can complete today the online self-assessment. It's on wanderingwomencanada.ca. We can arrange for an audit, and we can contact you to arrange a site visit. We'll either approve you right away for a different one of the tiers, or you'll receive approval for how to qualify. And what we will provide you is a digital seal of website, a printable Wandering Women decal, and listing on our website. And then the final thing before we get into the last part here is how to wow cheat sheet and the do's and don'ts of attracting women. And Susan had mentioned that. And what I really like at the end of this is we created a 10-minute onboarding training tool. So simple things like greet her by name, ask for her name at check-in and check and use it. And why? Because it creates a warm and personal welcome. So it just never say no. It is about ensuring safety, stocking, essentials, and hydration and water. I can't say enough about the water point. And that would be it for our ambassador program. So now I'm going to send it over to Susan, who's going to talk a little bit about the retreat that we're hosting, and we'll show you a little bit about it when she concludes her speech. Go ahead, Suze.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. One other thing I just thought of while you were talking was also don't put the women at the back of a hotel. I mean, a lot of hotels are ground up, many floors, but if they're not and they're spread out, 3, 4, 5 buildings, like it's probably not, unless you're sold out already. I wouldn't, suggest putting them at the back of the door, and just make sure the patio door is locked because one of mine didn't. So moving on to the next one, we're very excited to announce our retreat today, and it's Live Like a Local, if you can imagine where that would be. And it is in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. And thanks to Lisa, Lisa did a lot of work on this, as you can imagine. I'm not from there. Lisa and I went there about 3 weeks ago or so we could get the lay of the land for everything. And it's absolutely spectacular. But Lisa wanted everyone to experience what she experienced growing up and what the locals experienced. So it's called Live Like a Local. And it's the views are breathtaking. I don't know how many people have gone there, but the views are breathtaking. We're using Pictou Lodge, absolutely spectacular. Every single room, whether it's a cabin or a chalet, has a view of the ocean or the lake. Like, it's spectacular. And there is an outdoor pool there too, but it's and they've just built a great big tap house, absolutely beautiful in there. So I, highly recommend everybody looking into it, but I'll give you a little synopsis of what we're doing. So it's September 14th to the 17th. Everyone arrives, later Sunday afternoon, unless they're coming earlier. And we're going to have a welcome home kitchen party. So it's going to kick off the retreat, an opportunity for everyone to meet each other. And I want to stress that this is a very small, tight group, no more than 20 people. And it will be like-minded people, that are or have been leaders or worked in senior positions. So that they can do one of the things we're going to do, which is the next day, is a mentorship program. Lisa had mentioned mentorship, and we are going to do that. We're working with the chamber on that, and taking 4 or 5 girls that need some assistance or they have questions on their business or an entrepreneur. So we're going to partner them with the women in the group and give them a small stipend when they're done. But each day, so Monday and Tuesday, the women will be woken up by bagpipes, traditional bagpipes, have a hearty maritime big breakfast, Celtic meditation. So there'll be yoga both days as well. And then on Monday, as I mentioned, we'll do the mentorship program, which is called the kitchen cabinet, which is similar to a board of directors. And then they'll have a few hours on their own. And then there's a great big fiddles, food, and fireside. Lisa can't stop talking about the maritime donaires and the Pictou County pizza. So I know I'm looking forward to trying that. And it is, such a great place to visit, with the fiddles. Everyone's having fun, and everyone is so welcoming to each other and very kind to each other in that area. Like, that would be my first impression. And then on Tuesday, again, bagpipes, big breakfast, a sunrise dip, and yoga, and then restoration by the sea. This will be fun. It's 4-hour lobster trapping, and included in that, and I don't even eat lobster, but I'm looking forward to it. 4-hour lobster trapping, and includes shopping, going to Tabitha's, which is a leather store. She makes great purses and clothing, as well as a charcuterie, afternoon, and meeting some of the locals. And then the big lobster do by the sea is the finale on Tuesday night. So everyone's going to get treated to a lot of food, and we're all really looking forward to that. And then Wednesday is the last day, so they can leave at their leisure, but it'll be a continental breakfast, and then a goodbye to all their new friends. So that's it in a nutshell, without taking up too much more of your time. But it will be on, or is on, our website, wanderingwomencanada.ca. So I want to remind you of that, and certainly also I want to remind you to sign up, for Wandering Women as well, so that you make sure that we don't miss you on anything that we're doing. So that's it, Lisa, in a nutshell, unless you have anything else you want to add, because I know it's very important to you. The Maritimes is very important to Lisa. She loves it there. And I can see why once I went, and I know you would see why as well. So I'm looking forward to living like a local.
Oh, good stuff, Susan. I couldn't have said it as good as you, other than if anybody wants to see me play the fiddle, that will be priceless. But we do actually have a little surprise for everybody, a nice little video. So I'm going to ask our techie people here to, me and Susan are used to having everyone do everything for us. Oh, here we go. All right. Do you want to come home with me and live like a local? That's my home community. I'm the first person to really leave my hometown in my entire family. I was also the first person to go to university, although it's changed now. But it really does instill upon me the wonderful values of family, our belief in our country, and why I want to make sure that we mentor. So before we sort of close up, I wanted to say this. The idea is for everyone to come down in a safe environment that would like to come participate in this. Everything is women-led or women-owned that we're doing. We're going to be contributing. Even the lobster fisherman is a woman, Captain Amy, who you saw on there. We will do a lot of things that are in the Celtic tradition, not just the kitchen parties, but I promise you'll love those, but through meditation and moving through the water, how we do. And the best part of this is, as I mentioned before, is the mentorship. I believe there are trailblazers in life, but I also believe that there are trail wideners. And so when we go down to Nova Scotia, we're going to be in a significantly underemployed area where it's very difficult for women to get the seed funding to support their businesses. So one of the ideas here is to provide a micro grant, and that as women on the retreat will break into groups and be that person's, as we would call it, kitchen cabinet or board of directors, to help them build up, but at the same through a 2-hour process, but also create a small micro grant. The idea would be to take this and do this on multiple occasions, so we can support different areas across the country. So I do hope you'll join us to that. So I guess we're at the conclusion. We only wanted to keep you to 11:45. My message is the same. We are the queen bees. We look after the budgets. We look after the bookings. We look after our bodies, and we are very important at the ballot box. We're responsible for $1.3 trillion in economic activity, 80% of the travel decisions, And if we repatriate some of the money we spend in the United States, well, we can create jobs. And that is a fact. We need to build loyalty and trust. And through our experience, we believe we can help you do that. And we were very grateful that we had a number of different partners who signed on to support us in the early days. So I'd like just again to say thank you to Destination Northern Ontario, Niagara Falls Tourism, Central Counties Tourism, the Pictou Lodge, Bass Pro Shop at the town of Annapolis Royal, and the Lord Nelson. So Susan and I will be going back to Nova Scotia in a couple of weeks, and we're really looking forward to that. And a reminder, what SECORD Strategies is offers through Wandering Women is we offer research. If you're looking at doing some deep dives, not only into this area, but into Canadian culture, identity, tourism, hospitality, we're available to do that. We are available to join you on tours. We are going to be unveiling courses very shortly. We have a white label wine club that we're going to be starting. And of course, what we're really focusing on right now is the Ambassador program, the certification for Wandering Women approved, as well as membership that will be free to build up our communities. You can always call me. Most of you have my cell phone number. If you do not, I'm at 613-406-6809. You can reach Susan and I both by email. You see it on below your screen, lisa@secordstrategies.ca, susan@secordstrategies.ca. And we do have an invite mechanism for discovery calls. And we just ask that you be clear and concise of what you want to meet with us about. So we're capable to take that meeting based on some research and preparation beforehand. So with that, thank you all very much for believing in us. We're just really honored that we have over, I think we have close to 500 people on, Susan. And, this, and you know what? I'm not even giving you guys money. So that's great. So I just want to say thank you. Please contact me anytime, and Susan anytime. We want to work with you. We want to elevate the experience that women over the age of 50 have with any type of destination and experience, and have you thrive. But remind you too, you're part of a $205 billion industry in this country, and don't ever have anyone take that away from you. So Susan, I'm ready to say bye. How about you?
Yep, I'm ready to say bye too, but I just wanted to say real quickly, when you mentioned 80% of the travel decisions are made by women, that is true, because I asked every man I saw when we were on tour that was there on a holiday, how they came to be, and every single one said their wife booked the trip. So you don't leave money on the table. Make sure you're getting that revenue. 10 million plus Canadian women over 55 are looking for those travel destinations, want to make sure they're meaningful experiences. So, in order to increase your bottom line, you should be looking at women over 50, 45 plus, to achieve that. That was it. And thank you for coming. And it's been great having so many people here, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Remember, wanderingwomencanada.ca to get your free downloads, or check your inbox for later on. If you want to reach out in between for either the retreat ambassador or certification program, make sure you let us know right away so we can get to work. Okay. Thank you. Happy
Bye.
Canada.